Welcome back to another episode of Excuse My Grandma. It's Kim and my co-host,
Grandma Gayle.
So this week we talk to the Woods. I love when we do other families because we get to see their dynamic.
And they were really a wonderful family. Mother, two sisters and a mother, and both all from Toronto. One lives now in New York.
I feel like people from Canada really are nicer. I know that's a
generalization, but I think they are nice.
They are so nice. And Lexi is has over 1 million followers on Instagram, and you would never know. She's so humble and so sweet,
and they're all very supportive of each other, which is really, really nice. I think that the audience will really enjoy hearing them, and
they're so funny because they've dated a lot of people, and they tell some of their stories, and some celebrities as well, but they shared stories about snooping,
which I didn't know what that was, really.
Someone you're dating, doing a little digging to see if they've been up to anything bad, going through their phone, things like that. Is that something you've ever done?
No. Well, first of all, I didn't have any phones when we were dating.
But you can still snoop. You find a earring under the bed or things.
None of those things existed when I was dating, and I certainly didn't look up under anybody's bed. I wasn't interested. But I think we should listen to them today and enjoy it and get a good laugh at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an innate thing for people. I think if you're sitting there and someone's phone is just sitting there unlocked, you have the urge to pick it up and go through it.
Well, that's the problem with these phones today. I mean, your entire life is in that phone. And if somebody really wants to snoop, they'll
find it.
They'll find it. Okay, Kim, let's talk to the girls.
Okay, guys, we are joined by the ladies of the 6 and 9 podcast, Lexi, Tiffany, and their mom, Shannon. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us.
So let's start with a little bit of intros for both of you so everyone can get to know your voices also as you're speaking. Can you each introduce yourselves, your name, your age, and where you all are from? Oh, and your current relationship status.
I'm Lexi Wood. I am 24 years old. We are all from Toronto, and my current relationship status is single yet severely complicated.
Join the group.
As always. And I am Tiffany. I am 27 and I am single and not complicated at all. And we're all from Toronto.
And I'm Shannon. I'm 50 and I've been married for approximately 184 years.
Nobody's longer than me. Yeah. So that's just fine.
So Shannon, I want to start with how you met their dad.
So we are high school sweethearts. We are, as corny as that sounds. I actually met him on the first day of 11th grade. And I looked at him and I was like, that's him. He's the one. And I actually was like, gosh, I wasn't even 16 yet. I was like, oh, I wish I hadn't met him so soon, but here he is, my husband.
Really nice. That's like your mom and dad. But
they were 18 in college,
but
though.
That's all right.
I guess when you know, but Tiffany, do you believe in love at first sight?
That's a good question. I feel like, I do, because I've seen it with my parents, and I feel like you feel instant connections with people, and you always hope that things work out, but they don't always work out. So even if you feel love at first sight, it's not necessarily that soulmate love, but I do. I think I believe in love at first sight.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot more complicated now. That's the issue. It was a simpler time when your mom saw your father for the first time. There wasn't the phones. It wasn't all this texting back and forth. So I think we're going to get into that later on.
Lexi, I've followed you for so long on social media. First of all, you're so gorgeous. It's everything. I can't even post on Instagram because I will just be it'll never be Lexi, but
no, you're literally perfect. I'm post more, please. Bless our feeds.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there are people sliding into your DMs all the time. Would you ever consider going on a date with somebody who did message you on Instagram?
Well, what's actually funny is I've met most of my boyfriends through Instagram. So my very first boyfriend, we met on Instagram, and we ended up dating for a year and a half. And then I've actually, most of my favorite relationships I've actually met on Instagram. It's still kind of a mutual, we have a lot of mutual friends, but we haven't seen each other out or anything, but we've always heard of each other. So it's not necessarily somebody super random. But I mean, I feel I would. I would
I would
definitely
say-
date someone on Instagram.
We always say Lexi's, dating app is Instagram.
Yeah, because she doesn't use any
No.
other apps.
No, just purely Instagram is my Tinder.
I met my boyfriend through TikTok, so it's a similar situation.
I need to get on my TikTok game. I'm struggling with it right now. I'm just kind of like, I need to like learn all these dances. I'm like, it's a lot, but I'm trying to find my TikTok niche.
Exactly.
I do feel like, because I've always been like everything that I want everything to come very like authentic to me with whatever I'm posting, whether it's a collaboration or, so I'm like, I'm not a dancer. I don't want to be like,
Right.
popular on TikTok.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely trying to find whatever comes more like most authentic to me. And then I'm going to just go ham with the post.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same with us. Like
right.
we're on, I taught Grandma what TikTok is, and now we're on there and our following is growing.
So good.
So good.
We're laughing. We're laughing because I didn't think anybody was interested in what I had to say. And I guess a lot of people like it. So we're continuing.
But we're not doing dances, you know?
We're
so-
definitely not doing dances. So you'll have to drag Grandma around in a barrel.
Well, you know that chocolate Barbie trend with like the head bob that's
Oh my
going
gosh.
around? I was begging her to do it and she wouldn't do it.
No,
with
I
me.
won't. I'm not going to I'm not going there. I held up a jacket while you were barking. Now, explain to our viewers, because a lot of the people aren't familiar with your Instagram and your whole podcast thing. What actually do you girls do? What is your specialty? What's your little niche on your podcast? Is it fashion? Is it advice? What do you do?
So it's kind of a little bit of everything. Basically, the whole point of our podcast is to break down the barriers of family dynamics and family communication. I think that there's such like people look at like our family dynamic as kind of like a weird thing because we're so open with our family. We have all become kind of like friends too. So I think it's not common, and it should be more common to be super close with your family and to be able to have that open communication. So the whole purpose of our podcast was to give a space for that. And if people couldn't come to their own families with the types of discussions that we're having, they could feel like they were a part of our family. So
I also feel like we're all very normal people living in kind of like with very not normal career choices. And so I feel like things that we go through, most girls, most guys, everyone kind of goes through it, but it's kind of like a little taboo to talk about. So we're like, you know what, let's just make everything very normal.
And out in the open, which is great. And it's nice to see a nice family that's able to communicate like we do. We feel we do. And it's, I think a lot of people don't have that. And that's why they're finding our podcasts and your podcast so appealing to them.
Why is it called 6 and 9?
So it was,
I'll start out. I've always been a stay-at-home mom, so we're very traditional family. So we were always, when the girls were growing up, you know, I'd have cookies after school, dinner at 6, and then as they got older and became of drinking age, then we started having cocktails together. so
we always say like pre-drinks are at 9, dinners at 6. So that's where 6 and 9 kind of came from. And then our dad was born in 1969, and then 6 and 9 is just different perspectives of like the same thing. You know?
Very interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So Shannon, were both of the girls always super open with you, or was one more than the other growing up?
Always, both of them. We just always had conversations. There was never, like Tiff said, there was never anything taboo. And, you know, as they got older, you know, their friends started coming to us and saying even more things. I used to say, sometimes I wish they weren't so open because the things that they would come to me with, I'd be like, oh my gosh, am I blushing? And I couldn't be like, you know, oh, that's uncomfortable. I'd be like, no, absolutely natural. Everything's just perfect, you know?
Right.
Well, you know, it was interesting because we spoke to a gynecologist, and what she was saying on the podcast is very much what you were just saying, that her primary hope is that mothers or fathers will talk to their children about sex, about, you know, premarital issues, and about before they go to college, but even while they're in high school, so that they have a knowledge of things and they have to be open and talk
and she
to
said
each other.
Not to be too giddy about it as
Right.
a parent, just to be like, okay, thanks for coming to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's exactly, like I said, you know, they would come to me and I'd just be like, oh yeah, it's no big deal. Meanwhile, inside I'm thinking, oh my God, you know?
You did the best thing. You did it absolutely correctly.
Yeah. So let's dive into it. What are both of your types in men? Lexi, you can go first.
I actually have no type. It's the weirdest thing. Like the guys that I've dated, honestly, like I couldn't find a type except they all have tattoos. It's a weird thing. I'm just like, I just don't like people that don't have tattoos. Like boys that will talk to me, if they don't have tattoos, I'm just like, there's something missing.
Give it a little bit more spice.
Yeah, I'm like, just give me some more edge. That's the only common thing that all these boys have.
Could they have a stick-on tattoo? Could we just?
Right? I'm not opposed to an odd face tattoo, depending on what the vibe is. Yeah, the more tattoos, the better. I love them. I'm like, woo, tattoos. Let's hear it for the boys with the tattoos. But honestly, I just like a nice boy. Like as much as it's cheesy to say like, oh, I want like the good boy. I really do. Like I don't think good guys are like it's like, oh, good guys finish last. In my books, I'm like, you guys are going straight to the top. Like you guys are finishing first every day. Yeah. And somebody just like that I can be silly with. I'm a really silly person. I'm like always dancing around the house. And I just want somebody that I can be just as silly and funny with.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. I'd say that's like my number one thing, silly and tattoos. What about you?
I think, okay, so what I think in my head that my type is like a Jason Momoa, like caveman looking man. And what my type actually is like Abercrombie model boy. They're like the cleanest, most clean cut, like boring looking boys ever. So physically, I think it's one thing, but it's really not. I need to like opt for a little bit more, maybe a little bit more hair, some more beards. And then like Lexi said, we've never been into like the bad boy thing. It's kind of been like, in her case, it's the good boys that look like bad boys. Yeah. And in my case, it's the good boys that look like good boys.
Yeah.
Shannon, how often do they bring boys home to you?
Oh my gosh. Like, so because we're so close, and like even the other night we were going out with a friend of Lexi's, and then a friend of Tiffany's showed up, and he's like, oh my gosh, your parents are here? Like, oh, this is so weird. Like with my family, like you don't meet the parents for months and months and months. And it was just like, well, we're just out drinking. We're just out hanging out, But so yeah, we meet them right away. And then I get so emotionally involved and attached. I'm like, this is my son. This is my son. And then it's like a week later, they're like, no, mom, like
he's gone.
Yeah. You'll never see him again.
Exactly.
And I agree with you that should be a norm. I think waiting till you get engaged to meet a parent is so ridiculous. And it shouldn't be, because you know what? There are red flags that parents sometimes see that you don't see as a younger generation.
But the thing is, sometimes like, let's say this happens and then you say a red flag that I didn't realize, then I'll never be able to get it out of my head, whether it's true or not.
Well, that's true. But sometimes that red flag is seen by an older adult and is important. And, in your delirium of love, you don't sometimes pick it up. And I do think that it's nice to have a feedback. You don't have to take it literally. You don't have to abide by it. But I think you should listen to it, because parents and grandparents usually see through other people's problems a little more readily than you would.
Totally. One more thing about that. For me, it's almost the opposite of like the red flag. It's like, I'll not feel a super close connection with somebody. And then I'll be like, once I see them with my family, like maybe I'll like them more. So for me, it's like when I see people with my family, it makes me like connect to them more and want to like them
they can get along.
Yeah, definitely.
It's important to you, your family unit. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Lexi, is one parent more critical about your dates than the other, like your mom or your dad?
I would say probably my dad. Like my dad will be like, does he have neck tattoos? And I'm like, maybe, possibly. And then my dad is like, he pretends to be like the dad judgmental, but then as soon as the boy walks in, he's like their best friend. Yeah. Like he's just like, oh my man, what's up? Like, and he's like all over them. My dad always said, he's like, I always wanted all girls because I knew the boys would come one day. He's like such a girl dad. So he puts on this like fake front that he is like gonna like dad him away. And then I swear to God, my dad ends up liking them more than he likes us. And then my mom is always just like, oh, the more the better. She's like, she gets so emotionally involved. She's like, you are my son. This is
okay.
So both of my parents, I would say my dad pretends more though.
I also see through people better than your dad.
Yeah.
She has the best instincts, and sometimes it kills me because I'm like, why? I had the nicest boyfriend ever, and he did everything for me, like best relationship. My mom was like, no, there's something about him. And it turned out he was like cheating on me the whole time, and I didn't see any of the signs. And she was just like, she just had this feeling.
Whoever you guys end up with will join the family very easily and organically. When it comes to the other way around, have you ever thought like, oh, now I'm going to have to spend time with somebody else's family if it becomes serious? Like, I'm such a homebody with my family. I'm like, I just want all the holidays to be at mine, not, you know.
Yes, exactly.
You have to share, Kenny. You have to share.
No.
I know, I don't like sharing. Yeah, no, I do struggle with that because like I love my family so much, but I do hope that the person that I'm with has an amazing family too. And I hope that we can kind of combine things and spend time all together. Like that's my ultimate dream.
Yeah.
That is the best.
I want like him to be close to his family, me to be close to mine, and each other be close to each other's families. And then on like Thanksgiving and stuff, it's like we can all just come together as like one ginormous happy family.
We do.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
That's true.
Yeah.
We're lucky in that way.
Yeah. And it's also geographically close to each other. It makes it also an easier thing.
True.
Yeah, it's probably hard for us.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I live in New York. They live in Toronto. Most of the guys that I date are, depending on their careers, but a lot of the time they're in some type of industry as well. So we're always all traveling so much. So location wise may be difficult, but I'm hoping
work on it. You'll work on it. Toronto is such a beautiful city. I took a boat ride around because we had very dear friends that lived in Toronto. And many years ago, we used to go up every summer and we used to take the boat around the lake, and it was beautiful. It really is. And they have the best bagels.
Is that
Oh my God. They've got the best bagels in the whole world. They have like soft
better than
centers.
New York?
I think they're better than New York. He used to ship them to us.
Really?
Yeah, because became addicted to those bagels. But that's the one thing I loved about it. I mean, I loved everything about Toronto. It's a beautiful city.
Oh, that's so nice to hear.
We love it.
Yes, I love Toronto. I literally go back, and now that I live in New York too, when I used to live in LA, it would be harder for like work and stuff. But now I'm like, I'm going home on the weekend. I'm like, I love Toronto.
Is there any advice that your mom has given you about relationships that's really like stuck with you?
So my mom always says, never let anything go unsaid, and to always speak your mind and to speak your feelings and to lay it all out on the table, because she never wanted us to have like regrets in relationships. And I think a lot of the time it's easy to just let things go and to just be like, oh, it didn't work out. But when you're putting your heart into everything and you're communicating everything you need to say, you know that it didn't work out from a lack of your own communication or a lack of expressing yourself. So I think that's probably the best advice, just never let anything go unsaid, because then you'll have like closure.
Yeah, you'll have closure within yourself, knowing that you did everything and said everything that you were feeling and thinking, than like needing outside closure, like needing like the guy or girl to be like, to do something so messed up that it gives you closure. You just know like, oh, I did everything that I can, and like I'm good with that. Yeah, that is the best advice.
I loved your episode on snooping. You each told amazing stories, but I know you each have your own story. So whoever wants to take it first, but you're gonna die from these. They're crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, you do yours first. So my snooping story. So me and this guy had known each other for like 10 years, like a very long time. We'd been like texting and whatever. And I just like never really gave him a chance. And then finally we were both home at the very start of the pandemic, and Toronto had like just been slowly opening up again. And we had been texting through like probably like a month. And like, I wasn't comfortable to go and hang out yet. But then once Toronto kind of opened up, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll hang out. So we probably like 3 times we hung out. And then we got dinner, and I ended up just like having a little slumber party at his house. No funny business, guys. Nothing happened. We literally just slept, which honestly now I'm like,
oh, is that true? Or I thought you were joking.
No, we literally did nothing, but we had like literally spooned. We spooned for like 20 minutes, and then we just both rolled over. And then he went to work in the morning, and he's like, make yourself at home. I'll be back in like an hour. He had to go to training. And then he's like, I'm like, there's like this makeup vanity. He's like, make yourself at home, get ready, whatever. And so I was like, perfect. I open up one of the drawers, like put my makeup in, and I see this like little envelope, and there's like a Polaroid of just like naked boobs.
Oh no.
And I was like,
No.
oh no, like what? I do. It's 8:00 in the morning. I send the picture to my mom. I was like,
Wrong.
Yeah, just no text message before, just a picture of some naked body. And I'm like, what do I do with this? And then she's like, well, you need to talk to him about it, whatever. And then something just like tweaked in me, and I was like, I need to see if there's something else going on. So I'm looking through the other drawers, but like just like peeking. I'm like, I need to look under the bed. I'm like,
it's just funny. Like, what else can you find that's just so nuts?
Yeah. And then I was like, is this like a whole girlfriend situation? Like, I need to look further into this, because like, am I the side piece? Is she the side piece? I'm like, one of us is the side, and I need to know who it is. So then I just kept looking. Then finally he came home, and I was like sitting there with the boobs and this little thank you letter. And I'm like,
what is
this? And then he's like saying like all the stuff. He's like, oh, it's nothing, whatever. It ended up being something. But a year later, the girl DM'd me, and she was just like, oh my God, it's me. I'm the titty girl.
Yeah.
And
how did she find out though?
He must have said.
She said through social media, of course, having like a following on social media, her and her friends had already known that I was hanging out with him.
Okay.
Like year before, like when I was actually hanging out with him, they saw on social media that I was like in his house or something.
And then actually after we talked about it on our podcast, she reached out.
Yeah. So then we had the snooping thing. Then she reached out, and she was just like, oh, I didn't want to reach out to you a year ago, but like I've been knowing. So it was just like, it was really funny. And of course, like him and I had like 3 dates. I wasn't emotionally invested. Right. It was just like a funny situation. I was like, oh my God, of course this would happen to me. I'm like,
I hope you said goodbye.
Oh, I did. I was like, I don't think this is gonna be.
But why is that his fault?
Oh, there's something wrong if somebody's taking pictures of
well, he might have not taken it. She probably gave it to him.
I don't know. It's still something is wrong.
He kept them.
Something's wrong.
And like I was never really, I mean, he had been chasing me for like years and years and years. And there was something like my gut was like, I'm just not into it. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like it was just honestly like my best out to be like, because at the time nothing went wrong except these titty pics. And I was like, maybe this is a great entrance to leave. I'm like, I think this is a great
good entrance
excuse.
to exit.
Yeah. And then he was like begging me for like weeks not to like end it with him. And I was just like,
and he's not happy that we told that story.
No, it's your story to tell, honestly.
And we're not mentioning it.
I didn't say your name.
We would never mention names.
No, right. That's like our biggest thing. We're like, we will tell our experiences, but we make it clear that it's our experiences, and we're not gonna like say the person's like occupation or like name, just in case people can piece something together.
But he knew it was him.
Yeah, he knew, and he was very upset. And I was like, no one will know that this is you except for you. So you're only hurting your own feelings right here because you know you were in the wrong.
Exactly.
So
what would you have done if I texted you a picture and was like, this is what I just found?
I would have said, get out of the apartment immediately and put the pictures back in the drawer. Yeah. And do not ever pick up his call again, because there's something wrong with him.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He actually threatened to sue us. He did. He was like, you're going to be hearing from my lawyer.
And we were like,
we never heard from a lawyer.
You tell your,
I'm like, there's literally nothing that you can do. No. We didn't say your name. You're not. But there was some drama behind that one.
Crazier and crazier.
And of course, I was like, that was our first podcast. I'm like, of course, like it got pretty wild after that.
Yeah. Tiffany, can you share your story?
What was mine? I know I had one, but
maybe she doesn't have one.
Well, yeah, if you don't have a snooping story, is snooping something that you've done in a relationship, or do you try to stay out of it?
Oh, I'm a big snooper. I'm very, like, I think everybody's super suspicious, super sketchy. I'm like a true Scorpio. So I'm like, somebody's always like working one over on me, I feel like.
Right.
So
she's the FBI agent in the family.
Yeah. And like people will come to me and be like, hey, can you like look up this guy, find everything about him, like family members, past occupations, like everything. I can, like, when I match a guy and I just have a first name, I can find out like his whole
talent.
Inspector Clouseau.
Yeah.
It's actually like scary. Like if I ever need any info on anyone, I'm like, she's like my police officer. I'm like,
I should start charging people now, because everybody's just like, hey, here's the info. Yeah. I need information.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, like, I think you have a business here, like on the side.
Yeah. Private investigator.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. I wanted to know, like, your relationship with your grandma, because we ask all of our guests, were you or are you close with your grandma, and have you ever
grandfather? Don't be sexist.
Yeah, okay. And what's your relationship like with them?
Yeah, so our mom's mom is one of our best friends. She's so fun. We spend every Sunday with them. My mom makes dinner and they come over to our house, and we spend like every weekend with them. So we used to live like 3 doors down from them on the beach. So when we were kids, we grew up like going to their place all the time. They were always at our place. It was super amazing growing up like that. And then now we only live like 30 minutes away from each other for the most part, unless we're here, Lexi's here, or but yeah, we spend every Sunday, and then we see them throughout the week. But our grandma is like one of our best friends. We call her Nana.
I love like talking to my grandparents because I feel like they've lived in such a different time. Like everything is just changing so quickly. Even for me, like I'm like with all these like new apps and stuff, I'm like, what is going on? So like I love just talking to my grandparents because times have changed so much. I was actually just talking about this with a friend the other day. And it's just like, yeah, hearing our grandparents' stories and stuff is just the best.
We love like the older generation, and we learn so much from them. And even when we were younger, like we always spent time with our parents' friends. Like we really love hearing stories of people who have lived in like a different time than us. So like even people on the street, like will be like, oh my God, you're the coolest person ever. Like tell us everything.
Yeah. What do you think we're missing most now when it comes to like the old fashioned values that we've kind of lost?
For me, I think the chivalry. Yeah. I'm like a big, like we were talking about earlier, just like coming in and saying hello when you're on a date or something like that. I feel like that's really important to me because we kind of do like having those old school values are so important to me. Like just like little things, like if somebody orders me a car, I'm like, oh my God, that's so nice. Or opening my door for me. I feel like these like things that were so simple back then and just so natural are so unnatural now. So I would say for me, it's definitely the chivalry.
I agree. I always expect like a date to come and pick me up at my house. We drive together. Like I've never met somebody somewhere, obviously like for safety reasons, if you don't want to give somebody your address and whatever, but I always know the guys well enough before I actually go out with them. I'd have a big screening process with my FBI self.
Good.
Yeah. But I always expect people to like come and pick me up. And I definitely think like the chivalry and like the old school, like, yeah, just the values.
Lex was on a date a few weeks ago, and yeah, it ended up being a long date. And she was texting
like, which
me.
one was this?
Yeah. She was texting me and everything, and I was like, it is getting a little late. Like you should be heading home soon. And he ended up Ubering with her home, and he walked her to the door. And I was like, now that is a gentleman. I liked that boy.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, and like. Even just like the gentleman, like obviously I'm a very independent woman, but even just having like a boy pay for your meal, and I feel like that's just like, it's so like nice. Yeah. Instead of being like, oh, like let's split the bill. It's like, I'm fine with that also. And like, if we've been dating for a long time, obviously like I'm cool with it. But like on the first couple of dates, I'm like, no, I want a boy to be like, open my door for me, pick me up, pay for my meal. Like I'm just very, I like those values.
I do think that has to come naturally though, because there's nothing worse than when somebody's like faking chivalry and then like 5 dates in, they're like a completely different person. Yeah. So you have to be careful about that too. When people are like, oh, more for you. And then 5 dates later, they're like,
slamming it in your face.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The thing is like, if guys know that we like these things, how does some people not do it? That's what my
because they don't care. They don't care. There are some people who are just such narcissists. They're just about themselves. And those are the ones you have to stay away from. You learn that as you, date them for a little bit. If you see that this is if they're selfish, then why bother? Don't continue the relationship. It's not going to, I don't know, Shannon, nobody changes. What really happens, you become more entrenched in your
This is probably the biggest thing that we disagree on. I always think people can change.
Nobody changes. They don't. They might change their shoes and they might change their jackets, but they don't change their personalities. It really doesn't.
Unless they love you enough. Unless they fall in love with you.
I always say, I'm like, I feel like if you stick to your kind of like, no, this is what I need, this is what I request, this is what I deserve, and I can also give it back to you. I feel like it's like, if they don't do that for other people, maybe it's just like, no, this is what I demand. If you want me bad enough, if you love me enough, you'll rise to the occasion, but I'm not going down to your level. You can either have me and rise or don't have me and Have
Good
fun by
girl.
yourself.
I'm just my kind of girl. I like that.
This is a new thing.
Right. Starting right now.
Yeah. This conversation really opened my eyes.
So I want to end the episode with Grandma Gayle's old-fashioned dating quiz. We give this to all of our guests. So we'll just go through a few things and it will deem whether you're an old-fashioned, more traditional dater or more of a modern dater.
Perfect.
Since there's 3 of you, maybe if you can keep track for yourselves of which you answer. Because I messed up on math the other day and it was really embarrassing. Okay, so the first one is, would you rather receive a call from the guy you're dating or a text?
A call. Text.
I mean, I don't think I'm playing, am I?
I mean, it's a hypothetical. Or
hypothetical text. I hate the phone.
You say 2 against 1.
Would you sleep with someone on the first date?
I never have, just because I'm like, no, you need to work hard for it. I think especially because in my industry and especially now with social media, it's like there's so many people that are, how do I say it? Like they love the idea of like who I am instead, you know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of people are like really great on the first date and then like they just slack after a couple more dates. So I definitely feel like, no, you gotta wait.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think all the power in the world to people who do, but not me.
No, gosh, no.
Unanimous.
Dating apps or setups? We kind of talked about this.
Setups.
I think ideally setups, but it's kind of nice to be able to like find something on your own, you know?
Oh,
so wait, what is my answer? I guess I don't know.
I feel like you're a dating app girl because you like to do research.
Okay, I'll say dating apps.
Yeah.
And I would say setup.
Mm-hmm.
Move in together before getting engaged or wait until after you're engaged?
Move in right away as soon as I can because I want to know if you're a psycho. Like I want to know, like if you start to annoy me after like a couple months of living together, I don't want to marry you. I don't want to spend the rest of my life annoyed. Move in ASAP.
So no ring.
No, I know it's gonna come. I'm like,
yeah. To me, it's like date, move in, ring, marriage.
To me, it's like date, move in, get a dog. Get a dog, and then ring, then marriage, then children, and happily ever
We say
after.
the dog thing now because we just got a puppy and it's the hardest thing in the world. We're like shared like mothers. We have shared custody.
That's like co-parenting.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so hard.
It's so difficult. And I like literally our best friend just had a baby as well. And like, she's like, oh, I swear you guys get more sleep. Or no, I get more sleep than you guys. Cause she's like, my baby sleeps like great. And our puppy, awful for like the first while. I was like, no, I need to know if a guy is a psycho before I have children with them. Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. Well, we would have gone differently. We would have expected the ring, right?
No.
Yes, 100%.
Oh,
I thought you meant me.
No, you. I don't know what you expect. I can't get over what you expect. I mean, if that ring isn't on your finger, there better be no sleeping over.
Absolutely.
Did you guys live together when you were engaged or married?
We married. We got engaged and crazy. We didn't move in together until after the wedding.
Right? I can't imagine a ring on my finger and no man in my house.
Yeah, no.
Literally
that's crazy.
Yeah. That's wild. Good for you.
That's a bigger. That's the biggest change now, I think. Don't you? I mean, I really must say, first of all, our families would have never tolerated that, and we would just never have done it. It was out of the norm. But I don't think. I think the living together after a little bit together, if you don't have the ring, they're within 2 months of living. And if you still don't have the ring, say goodbye. It's too much.
I agree.
I would expect the ring very quickly.
Yeah, I would expect it within that year lease.
I think
if I don't have it within that 1 year lease period, I'm not renewing it.
Good idea. That's a good plan.
Yeah.
Lexi, I feel like you could be a comedian. I'm like,
she's so funny.
I feel like I'm like really funny. Like I don't like purposely, I'm not like out here like telling jokes. I feel like I'm just like silly. Like these two are so funny and like just like naturally witty. But, like I just like come out randomly.
No,
she's like,
you're hilarious. She's so funny. I laugh all day. I'm like, Lexi, you say the funniest thing sometimes, and it's so like unexpected.
Guys, thank you.
Okay, so the last one in our game, we actually kind of talked about this, but that the man should pay for the date, or versus alternating.
Yes,
no,
100%.
Man pays.
Even when actually we're like in a relationship, No, I'm like, I will pay for the cute things like coffee dates, random little lunches. Like, no, you are paying for my dinner dates.
And you two are both really good gift givers. So they're very thoughtful girls. So like if they see something, you know, regardless of special occasion, they'll like, you know, buy a little something. So they're very thoughtful that way. Yeah. So I think that.
I always say though, it's so expensive to be a girl. It's like my guy is pulling up to a date and he has like maybe a little bit of like gel in his hair or something. And he like half-ass showered. But I spent like a lot of money on this. Like I spent time, money, makeup products. Like you should pay for my date.
Yeah, true.
Good idea.
My Sephora bill is probably more expensive than this dinner date you're going to be paying.
So funny. I think you guys got more traditional than modern, actually.
I think so too.
Yeah, we're definitely more of a traditional family, even though sometimes I feel like we don't seem like it. Yeah. Because we are very like independent. We're very like, but no, we're very traditional. I'm like, I want a traditional, nice
tattooed guy.
Yeah. The 2 T's.
Right, that's good.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Tell our listeners how they can follow all of you and your podcast.
So you can follow us on Instagram at the 6 and 9 podcast.
At 6 and 9 podcast.
Yeah,
that's the 6 and 9.
I say everything the. I don't know what my problem
at
is.
6 and 9
6 podcast.
And yeah, we post on Instagram lots of behind the scenes stuff. We're always posting little clips from our shows.
We drop our podcast every Tuesday.
Yeah, so you can listen on all podcast streaming platforms.
Thank you guys so much for having us.
Thank you so much.
This was so fun.
Oh, thank you. And we love your show.
Yes.
Hope you guys enjoyed our episode with the Woods.
I really thought they were great, Kim.
Yeah, me too. And check out their podcast 6 and 9 if you haven't yet. And thanks for coming back and listening to us every week.
And we have a movie this week, don't we, Kim? For a 50s movie?
Yes, 50s movie of the week, Rear Window.
Which was fabulous.
Alfred Hitchcock, 1954. And it's about snooping in a way, which is why we're doing it. They told all their snooping stories. And it's not one of my favorite movies because there's not that much romance in it. But wasn't it Grace Kelly? Yeah. Grace Kelly was gorgeous.
She was so beautiful in that. So enjoy, everybody.
And you know how to follow us on Instagram, TikTok at Excuse My Grandma. And subscribe to our podcast if you haven't yet. Tell your friends, give us 5 stars, and we will see you next week.
Bye.